So a Dockerfile is a file that we would use to state all the processes and build setup of our Docker image. We want to create a Docker image. So to create a Docker image, you need a Dockerfile. How can we do that? I need to create a Dockerfile. I can as well come here and then create a new file, call it Dockerfile. But because we are DevOps, let's do it the DevOps way. So to create a new file, I'll say touch and then call it Dockerfile. So touch is the command to create a new file in Linux. So we have that file here, Dockerfile. What's the first thing? With Docker, there are different steps you take. The first step basically is to define your base image. So what is the base image of this application? This application is a Node application. It runs on Node.js. And then we need to have a base image of Node. If we come here and we search for Node, we would see a Node image, so this is how we get image we need. If you click on it, remember this is Docker Hub. Someone can send the link in the chat. This is the image, and then these are the tags, that you can use to pull this Node image. But what I want to use is Node and then something called Alpine. So Alpine is also a lightweight kind of like a OS base image. I think it's around 5 MB. It's very light. So I want to use Node Alpine. This is Alpine actually. I want to use that as my base image. So what do I do? To do that, we say from what? From Node Alpine. So this first line is telling us that we want to use the base image of Node Alpine. The next thing is to define our working directory. Where do we want our operations to? What folder do we want our operations to execute in? And by doing that, you say work directory. Let's call this client because we don't have a back end yet. So this is saying create a folder called client. This is a front-end application, and we just want to put that in the front end. That's why we call that folder client. We can maybe have things like database, things like backend, and you have to put those in other folders. So we want our working directory for this instance to be in something called client. So after that, you need to copy. We want to copy our package JSON file, the JSON file to the client file, to the client folder, right? So what's this package.json? This package.json is the file that has the instructions on what dependencies you should install and also how to start your application. So the first thing we want to do is to copy that file from all of this into this current repository, which we have defined as client here. So after we've done that, we now want to run. So with this run command, this run is telling you what instructions you want to run. And what we want to do is npm I or npm install. npm I is the short form. We want to install all the dependencies, and then after that, we can now copy every other thing. All of this, we can now copy them, which is this. We can now copy them into this client directory. After we've installed, copy all of this to find it. Okay. Then after copying it, we can expose a port. Expose port 3000. We want this to run on 3000. And then there's a command called cmd. So this command is basically telling you, we are describing how do you want to execute this thing. So we use npm starts, okay, to execute. So this is a very simple Docker file. We are saying on line 1, hit the base image of node and apply, create a working directory called client, copy the package.json and then put it in the client folder. And then inside that working directory, run npm I, which is npm install, then copy every other folder from outside that source into the client's folder, expose a port called port 3000, and then run the command npm start. All right. So the next thing is to create a file called docker ignore. Yeah. Because when we're pushing this and trying to create the image, we don't want to push the node modules because the node module is quite heavy and there's no point pushing it since on this line npm I do that, install the dependencies and then create this. So we don't want to push this. We have to ignore the node modules. As you know, doing yes, then we also have to ignore the Docker file, and then we have to ignore it. Right. So we have our file, we have our ignore file. We can now check for the version, see that who's running. Right. So how do we check if there is the images that we already have? Say Docker images. These are the images I have on my Docker. You might not have anything there. So what do we do now? We want to create a Docker image out of this.